Hello, welcome. My name is Scotty, and this is Scotty's Toy Box. Well, pull up a chunk of that internet there and have a sit down, get yourself comfortable, put your feet up. Maybe even get a drink. I want to talk to you about a subject that has come up this week with me. And I don't mean to be insulting to the person that I was having the conversation with, but I couldn't get my point across with a brick. So, dear Amanda, maybe if I do it verbally, you'll get the point. We first started out talking about privilege. White privilege, which, as a white woman, Amanda does not believe in. And Christian privilege. Now, she says she's not a person of faith, but she sure does defend the Christian religion a lot, and she doesn't seem to understand its fallables much, and she doesn't understand the privileged position that it is trying to maintain in our society. Now, I think part of her problem was she wanted to argue a point, but couldn't do it in the context of what the parameters of our discussion, so she kind of changed the goalpost to bring in the rest of the world. Well, we started talking about me and how these things affect me and my safety. And quite frankly, I'm not in Iran. I am not in Iraq, and I am not in Saudi Arabia. So my being a gay, openly gay male in society and that doesn't have anything to do with those countries. And I don't need their figures added into the figures of the United States, because what we have to look at is how being an open gay male atheist affects me here in the United States. So, to recap, here was the situation. She stated that I was wrong because I had been posting stuff about how dangerous and how antagonistic some theists, Christian theists here in the United States, were towards people who were different than their beliefs, such as gay people. And she came back, well, you're in a lot more danger from Islam. You know, they're a lot worse to you than. And I said, no, not in the United States. I'm not. It is a fact, and you can look it up, that a person is more likely to be a victim of a crime from a Christian in this country than a Muslim. Part of that reason is a lot more people claim to be Christians. A huge percentage of the population claims to be of the Christian faith. It's a much smaller part of the population that claims to be Muslim. Our society has the view that Christian equals good and Muslim equals bad. And that's simply foolish. It really is. Not all Christians are good. Not all Muslims are bad. Not all Muslims are good. Not all Christians are bad. I think I got all that right. The point is, they're people. But they're people inspired by writings from 1600 to 2000 years ago, and those writings were inspired by stories and fables from up to 1,000 years beforehand. I'm not going to give a lesson in apologetics here, so we won't go into the details. But what details I want to go into are, if you look at the statistics for gay bashing, for discrimination, you will find that the Christian followers are the ones pushing it, and they are the ones doing it. And now it comes down to, well, why? You would think, why would they? Well, for a long time, the Christian religion had a position of privilege in our society that has slowly been eroded. It is slowly going away. And not even that slowly, actually. Um, and so there is a fundamentalist movement to capture that privilege and bring it back, to make this country a theocracy, to bring it back to God. We have to bring the country back to God. We have to get back so that God's not angry at us and God doesn't throw hurricanes at us and flood our homes and all that stuff. We'll make the rivers overflow. I don't know, maybe the fish walk on water or on air or land or something. I don't know. It gets silly when you listen to it all. You know, I mean, as a gay man, if I could cause a hurricane, do you think I'd waste it on stupidity like Ralph Reed or James Dodson or Pat Robertson? For God's sakes. Anyway, so they want to enforce their privilege. So she brought up discrimination and how it was just a matter of free speech. People have the right, and I said that people have the right to free speech. You can say what you want to say, you can't act on it. And we got talking about this, should they have to bake cakes? Well, if you're a public accommodation, say you rent your property out for weddings, you have to be open to the entire public, not just the public you like. And if you bake cakes and you are a public business and a public accommodation and somebody comes in and they are the public, yes, you have to serve them. You can't say, well, we don't serve redheads here. We don't serve black people. Stop and think about this. If you were to change the words LGBT, gay, same-sex marriage, with black, Irish, Jewish, single mother, and put it in the sentence, we don't bake cakes for black people. We don't allow weddings to be done at our facility for Jewish people. Is that discrimination? Should that be allowed? We don't sell shoes to single mothers because, well, we don't sell shoes to women because you people should be barefoot, pregnant, and in the kitchen. Get home, you harlot. You understand my point. That's why religious freedom laws are so dangerous, because they're enshrining discrimination. We went through all this in our laws. We had the Jim Crow laws. We had the civil rights era. Didn't we learn anything? People say, well, that's my religious view. I have a sincerely held religious view. All right. And what are you basing it on? Well, on the Bible, it says right here. See, the Bible says, yes, Bible says you should stone your children if they talk back. You got a pile of stones around here in case somebody's kid comes in with them. Somebody comes in with their kid and they start mouthing off. Hey, I got another one for you. You're wearing mixed fabrics, mixed fibers in your clothing and that. That's against the Bible. Did you go out and eat shellfish? That's an abomination. You know, there are a lot of laws and rules in the Bible. And unless you're going to keep every single one of them, don't tell me that the rest of the world has to live on your interpretation of the one particular thing that you can't wrap your mind around or that you've got a hate for, a bigotry about. Well, we don't have bigotry against people who eat shellfish, so that's, you can go to the Red Lobster. And, we've even gotten to the point where we're allowed to get remarried. So adultery really isn't a thing we're going to stop you from having a cake for. well, we ain't going to pay attention to that other thing over there. That's nothing. But I don't like that idea of two people of this. They doing that and they putting it, and women being able to have sex anytime. Harlots, I'm telling you. It just comes down to you have a dislike, and this gives you a legitimate reason to push it. So, hey, Kim Davis did not get thrown in jail for her religious beliefs. She did not get thrown in jail and did not get in trouble because she believed that homosexuals shouldn't be married. She got in trouble for not following the law. The law said that it was legal, and she refused to do her job, even after a court ordered her to. She could have stepped down. At any time, she could have said, "My faith in God is so strong, I will leave my job." She could have allowed somebody else in her office to do it. But instead, she wanted to make a point that her God was more powerful than the laws of the land. So, she went to jail for 5 days, and some people on the religious right, they treated her like a hero. But she wasn't. She was a criminal. She was somebody who put her personal belief above the laws of the land and above doing her job. And you are her taxpayer. If you lived in that area, if you were in that state, you paid her salary, and she was telling you, "I don't care, I'm not going to do my work. Try that somewhere else." You know what, boss? I've decided I don't want to fill out those forms today, or I don't want to log on to the computer, and shoot, I'm not going to dig a ditch. You pay me anyway, though, right? Yeah, right. Alrighty, so back to Amanda and I's discussion. Oh, I used examples of times that Christians, everything from Matthew Shepard, had used their God as justification to, what was her name? The Knox girl there. I think her name, Catherine Knox. Her and her buddies went out and beat up 2 gay guys because they was good Christians. Anyway, my point simply is that in this country, there is a thing called white privilege, and we know that because of the difference that white people are treated compared to black people, and white people don't even see it because they're so used to it. That is the same privilege that Christianity holds and people of the Christian faith hold in this country. They once had it, they want it back, they're desperate to hold on to it, and it's so common to them, they think if they cannot persecute you, they cannot discriminate against you, they are the victims. If the law says you may not discriminate against somebody else, you have to treat them as you treat everybody else. They think they're the victims. They're the ones being persecuted. You're persecuting me for my religion. No, we're simply stopping you from causing harm to somebody else. You have the right to think and believe what you want. Because of that, one last thing. There is a huge danger in this country right now. We have dominionists in this country, in the USA. They want to make the USA a theocracy. And Amanda kept bringing up Sharia law. Sharia law. And, oh, you're lucky you're not under Sharia law. Well, in a way I am, because Sharia just means religious laws. Every president, I was going to say the member of the presidential club, but every president has been religious, has assumed a faith. Kennedy had to promise not to practice by his Catholic faith. Look at the last emissions. Every single candidate was queried about how they would run their administrations based on their faith. We have congressional prayer meetings, which women are not allowed to to speak and to lead and be an authority, because the Bible says women cannot lead, cannot teach, they should be silent, they cannot be over men. This is our civil government. A large majority of, especially Republicans, run on fundamental religious views. Inhofe, wasn't it him who said that climate change can't be real because God wouldn't let us mess up the planet? And another one says, well, we don't have to worry about preserving the planet and that because God's coming back. He's going to make it all new anyway. I get so tired of hearing our elected civil leaders refer to a deity and Jesus. So if you don't think that this couldn't become a theocracy with Christian Sharia law, then you need to really open your eyes. Because the religious fundamentalists are pushing themselves big on media. They're putting a lot of money into TVs and these mega churches and that. And they've managed to run from everything from school board to president. The local offices they're in, your sheriff's offices they're in. They're everywhere they can get elected because they want to push a philosophy. And it's time we recognize the danger of it and the danger to people like me. And it just starts out with one set of people. If you think they get the religious freedom laws passed where they can discriminate against the gays, what are they going to do to single pregnant women? What are they going to do to other groups that they have a particular women's sexual rights as comes to mind, but I mean, I'm sure there's others I can't think of right now. If you get to use your religious held beliefs, especially if you can point to a book and say, see, my book says it. Doesn't mean that the book is right. It just, you can point to the book and say the book says it. All right, I've kind of droned on here and I've made my points. My point is this. Christian religion in this country is much more populous. It has had much more of a privileged position. It wants to maintain its privilege, and it is in our civil government, unfortunately. I, as a gay adult male, an out adult male, am in more danger from Christians in my country than I am from Muslims. And that is simply a fact. Alrighty, this has been Scotty. Hey, it's been fun, it's been long. Let's do it again sometime. Just not right now. Alrighty, bye-bye, hugs.